John Fox, the first-year head coach of the Denver Broncos after spending the last 9 years as head coach in Carolina, one game behind Oakland in the AFC West. Well, we know the media is buying into Tebow mania. We know the fans are. What about the players? Here's Laura Oakman.
I asked Champ Bailey, if I gave you $1 for every Tim Tebow question you had to answer, how much money would I give you? He smiled and said, please hand over $500,000. But he said, I don't mind. When you have a quarterback who takes on linebackers, you're going to basically have that become the identity of your entire team. As a defense, we play harder for him. We play longer. If your quarterback doesn't get tired in the fourth quarter, you don't get tired. As for all the playoff talk, Champ said today is a game we should win. If we don't, then we aren't ready. This game will tell us if we're for real. Tom?
All right, Laura, thank you very much. Leslie Frazier, the 52-year-old Columbus, Mississippi native, a 5-12 record since he took over last season for Brad Childress. And certainly trying to get that third win, an even tougher task without Adrian Peterson in the lineup for a second consecutive week after injuring his ankle against Oakland. So Minnesota won the toss, selects to receive, and Marcus Sherrills from 3 yards deep in his end zone. And a nice return up to the 24-yard line. Christian Ponder did not play in the first 5 games of the season, backing up Donovan McNabb. Today makes his 6th consecutive starting quarterback, and I know you like what you've seen from this young man.
I do, and I think he's good.
And a misread. Incomplete. He had an eye on Devin Aromashudu. We talked about Denver defensively. They have been spectacular over the last month and a half, but today, without their leading sack man, the rookie Von Miller.
Well, as we said, they're going to have to do it in different ways, and you're going to see the linebackers very heavily involved, and also they're going to have to bring some DB pressure, primarily from the safety position.
Well, they have Joe Webb. Joe Webb takes a snap from center, the backup quarterback, and lays it off to Percy Harvin. And Harvin across the 30 up to the 31-yard line, but there is a penalty flag down.
Passer, defense number 24, blow to the head. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the play. First down.
That's on the 10-time Pro Bowl cornerback Champ Bailey.
And this is the kind of changeup you'd expect from Minnesota. We've seen Percy Harvin in the backfield get a direct snap, pushing in a Joe Webb. They've got to do something to change up without Adrian Peterson on the outside. As I said earlier, not a real threat at the receiver on the outside. They have to be very creative about coming up with some different big plays.
Of course, earlier in the week, the backup quarterback who began the year as their starter, Donovan McNabb, was released. So we may see a lot of Joe Webb today. And penalty flags again.
False start. Offense number 12. 5-yard penalty. First down.
We talked about the 2 biggest names inactive today for Denver. Von Miller injured his thumb last week. It's not so much the pain they're worrying about, where he had the incision on the thumb following surgery and risk of infection. Asher Allen, another defensive back, is down for Minnesota. On the 1st and 15, they give it to Gerhardt. He bounces off a couple of tackles and crosses midfield into Denver territory to the 49-yard line.
And this is what we're talking about out of Toby Gerhardt. This downhill, run people over. It's not necessarily explosive like you get out of Adrian Peterson, but he can run people over like this. His big play is going to be just this, 8 and 9 yards. It may not be those 20, 30, 40-yarders that AP cranks off, but you'll take those 8 and 9-yard physical plays by Gerhardt all day long.
Little delay to Booker, and he is drilled in the backfield by Von Miller's replacement today, the 9-year veteran Mario Hagan. Hagan, a 16-game starter each of the last 2 years.
Right off here, Von Miller would love to have been in to do this. Kind of a free rush off the edge. You're counting on getting to the ball carrier before he gets into the interior of the line. They obviously didn't do it there. Perfect form tackle.
So a 3rd and 9 now for Minnesota. They need to get to the Denver 43 to convert. And this was one of your keys to the game. They're coming after Ponder, and he is leveled as he throws. No penalty flags on the play, and Minnesota will punt. Chris Harris, the college free agent out of Kansas, delivered the blow.
Coming off here and off the edge right there. They said in our meeting yesterday, Tom, we've got to make this a heavy pressure game for Christian Ponder. Get him to hesitate, get him to blink. Without Von Miller, we've already seen it. Secondary guys coming, linebackers coming. They're going to use everybody.
Well, Chris Kluwe puts a right foot on it, handling toward the sideline, and it stays inside the one. Eric Frampton, take a look at the spin today off the foot of Kluwe right there.
And smart play by Jamarcus Sanford, 33, for not touching the ball. Brilliant special teams play.
So Tim Tebow gets the ball when we come back. Tim Tebow and the Broncos get the football for the first time inside their own 1-yard line.
I was 8 years here in Minnesota. If there's one place you don't want to start a drive, it's at this end of the field with that noise backed up on your goal line.
McGahee and was unable to get out of the end zone, and that is a safety.
Watch the pressure off the edge right here. Gerald Allen getting into the backfield. We just saw a series where Minnesota ran, and they weren't counting on that kind of pressure coming off the edge. And this is what set it up. Jamarcus Sanford, he knows I'm in the end zone. I cannot touch the ball. Had he touched that ball first, it would have come out to the 20. Brilliant play on special teams, setting up a goal line run that leads to 2 points for Minnesota.
It's not only a good play, it's a smart play.
Very smart play.
So a rare smile these days from Leslie Frazier after the great punt by Kluwe, the smart coverage play by Sanford, and it leads to this.
Yeah, again, just a solid front. Look at the way he comes flat here. Gerald Allen recognizing where he is in the end zone. McGahee doing everything he can to get out. That's a brilliant defensive play. This Minnesota Viking defense has been good against the run, and they do it primarily with a 7-man front. The problem is they're going to have to see a lot more 8-man front today. We'll see how good they are at it. They're pretty good right there.
They see that last safety since they sacked Aaron Rodgers in the end zone, and that was Jared Allen back in October of 2009. And of course, that's when Brett Favre was leading Minnesota to the NFC Championship game. And Brian, quite frankly, very little has gone Minnesota's way since then.
No, but they're clearly on a path. They think they have their quarterback in Christian Ponder. Their defense is getting a little older. They're going to have to address that going down the way. But they've got an important 4 and 5 games to finish with. Last week, Tom, we had them against Atlanta, and what Leslie Frazier tell us? We're going to identify the personality of this team over the next month.
Remember, the entire length of the football has to get beyond the goal line. McGahee tried to stretch out, but never got far enough. So from the
Christian Ponder right now, we've already seen, and they know Denver's going to come after him with a lot of pressures from the linebackers and the secondary. That means you're going to have some favorable matchups on the outside with your wide receiver. The problem is that's not favorable right now. You're talking about some pretty good corners in Champ Bailey and Andre Goodman matching up against wide receivers that have a tough time getting off press coverage.
Harvard in the backfield, they fake it to him, and then they find the man you thought they needed to find to have some success here today, their tight end, Basante Shenko.
Well, and that's the best matchup on the field for them. The safeties of the Denver Broncos, obviously, Brian Dawkins, excellent free safety, but Quentin Carter, he's a good, solid, fill-the-box kind of guy. I don't know that he's a great one-on-one matchup, so that matchup, him against Basante Shenko, that's something Minnesota should continue to press.
First completion of the day for Ponder. He pitches to Harvard. Leapfrogs one tackler. And for the second straight drive, the Vikings are in Denver territory to the 49-yard line. This is where things began to stall on their first drive. is back. 204 all-purpose yards. 8 receptions, 95 yards. Had the 104-yard kickoff return that wasn't a touchdown. Gerhardt, good running room. And that's a first down to the Denver 41-yard line.
Here again, we see a downhill physical run by Gerhardt, and watch him running people over. You combine this very straightforward downhill running, that extra 2 and 3 yards after contact right here. A hit, look how many more yards he gets, 2 and 3. That turns third and longs, third and mediums into third and shorts.
Joe Webb is back in the game, down at the bottom of your screen wearing number 14. Ponder looking down the middle of the field, and the catch is made. That's Percy Harvin for another first down to the Denver 27.
Well, you know Harvin's going to be a factor, but the difficulty for Denver, where is he? Where in the world is Percy Harvin? Is he at wideout? Is he in the slot? Is he in the backfield? Denver told us one of the difficulties is when he starts in the backfield and motions out, they have to transfer coverage from a linebacker to the secondary.
Joe Webb now in the shotgun. Will fake it one way, run it himself. Webb, a very good athlete, who we saw at the end of last year. That's his 4th carry of the year, but his first carry since they played Green Bay nearly a month ago. And he figures to get a lot of playing time. We're already seeing it so far today with Donovan McNabb no longer here as a backup.
I'm not a big fan of the wildcat, but when you can wildcat with a guy like Joe Webb, who is a legitimate thrower, then it becomes Tebow-esque, if I may, in terms of the ability to both run and throw.
Webb is 2nd down and 6, and that's overthrown, and a flag. Kyle Rudolph, the tight end, covered by D.J. Williams, and Williams draws the penalty.
Pass interference. Defense number 55. Automatic first down.
Yeah, you can't do that. If you're going to play off on a tight end, and Rudolph's not a particularly nifty down the field guy, but you can't just square up and grab the guy as he goes by. Either jam him on the line of scrimmage or try to turn and run with him.
First down, and the inside pitch to Gerhardt. That didn't fool anybody, especially Marcus Thomas.
Good safe call here, because obviously what have we seen? We're moving Percy Harvin around. We're widening this defense. We're seeing what? Pressure off the edges with the linebacker in the secondary. Little shuffle pass inside, not a bad call.
Second down and goal. Fake the handoff and then throw it to Gerhardt. Read beautifully by, again, Chris Harris. Well, they're so pleasantly surprised by the play of Harris, who came out of Kansas, did not get a single vote to attend the combine.
And just a nice open field tackle. If you're going to play good defense, there's a lot of things you do. You can most pleased about his defense so far.
3rd down and goal. Ball is loose. And Denver has it. Still on his feet is Jason Hunter. He's all the way up to midfield, and a critical turnover by Minnesota. Brian Dawkins has been spectacular for his 16 years. Forces the first big play of the afternoon. Play by the stingy Denver defense. Dawkins causing the fumble of Ponder. And Hunter picked it up and races to midfield. So the second possession for the Broncos, and Tebow works out of the shotgun. Incomplete. And a first down throw to Demaryius Thomas.
Well, who else but Brian Dawkins coming from depth? He gets a little jam on Vicente Shenko, and because of that, no one picks him up. Nice job of stripping the ball. Boy, Brian Dawkins has been doing this for years. He's the reason this is such a disciplined secondary of the Denver Broncos.
McGahee wrapped up at the line of scrimmage, maybe picks up a yard. Offensively for Denver, the second youngest offensive line in the NFL to lead the #1 rushing team in the NFL.
Well, last week in Atlanta, we saw Gerald Allen match up against Will Svitek. Did a nice job with it. This week, it's against Ryan Clady on the left side. I want to see how much help Denver has to give to Clady opposite the All-Pro Gerald Allen.
Third down and 9. They come after Tebow, and he delivers out of the backfield. And what a tackle made at the 43-yard line by Benny Sapp. That looked like it had first down written all over it, but Sapp making the tackle.
We just talked about the ability for a good defense to make open field tackles. None bigger there than Sapp. Both these secondaries are very good open field tackle secondaries. That's why they're both good run defenses.
Of course, for Bronco fans, they're thrilled to see Eddie Royal in the lineup. He injured his toe a week ago, was in a boot earlier in the week, but is able to go here today. A 3 and out for Denver. End over end punt by Colquitt. And this time it will be the Broncos that put Minnesota in a tough spot offensively. Matthew Willis bats it back and covered up just outside the 6-yard line. Well, Coach Billick, you were extremely invigorated by the snow we had in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area last night.
Love it.
A 2-0 lead for the Vikings. Although we're not in the bottom half of the second inning with the Twins batting during interleague play in this case, but a short gain by Gerhardt. And Minnesota offense has been on the field virtually the entire quarter.
And here's a tough test for Ponder. I go back to the Bobby Bowden theory. Don't get nervous. One of us is about to score. This is where you need a big play to get you off the shadow of your goal line.
Inside the 5 and all the way into the end zone is the replacement for Von Miller today, Mario Hagan. You just said it. Somebody's about to score.
This is a tough one for Christian Ponder. We've already seen up in here, he normally comes, but watch here. He's going to drop into coverage. Christian Ponder thinks he's going to get a simple curl route to the top. Didn't realize that Hagan had dropped off into coverage. That's a lesson for the young rookie.
Well, I mentioned Hagan, a 16-game starter in each of the last 2 years for the Broncos. After going the first 73 games of his career without ever starting. Well, today's replacing Von Miller. And this to get Denver on the board, and John Fox and the Broncos the lead. 2 critical turnovers in this game for Ponder. 1 in the end zone. Or knocking on the door of the end zone on a 3rd and goal where he fumbled. And now that interception returned for a touchdown by Hagan. Out of his own end zone, out across the 20, and another good return. crossing the 25. Von Miller, very excited for his teammate and his backup, Mario Hagan.
But I tell you what he's thinking. He's thinking, God, if I'd have played today, I'd have had an interception for a cast or no cast. I'd have intercepted that one. He's having fun right now.
An injury on the field. Robert Ayers, or is that Dante Rosario? It is Rosario. Well, we thought at first 91 Robert Ayers was the injured Bronco. It's 81 Dante Rosario, and that could be a big hit for Tim Tebow and Denver offensively. They've been playing with 4 tight ends on the active roster the last 4 weeks. But they already put down Julius Thomas, a backup tight end, coming into this game, so Rosario could play a little bit more.
When I looked at the film, I was surprised at how much conventional 2 tight end offense I saw out of Denver. I expected to see a lot more spread, but that's good because that develops Tim Tebow in a more of a pro-style configuration. With the tight ends down, we may see a little bit more of the pure spread on first and second down.
That's a good sign. Rosario up and walking around. Second down and 7. They hand it off to Percy Harvin. Slow down in the backfield and is dropped for a 1-yard loss. We send it to Los Angeles and check in with our good friend Kurt Benefield.
All right, Carolina and Tampa Bay. Cam Newton throws it out to Legadou Nani, who throws it back to Cam Newton. Newton already ran for 1 touchdown this game. Doesn't get a second one, but he gets 27 yards down. They set up another touchdown by Jonathan Stewart, and Carolina has a 14-0 lead. Tom Bryant.
All right, thank you very much, Kurt. 3rd down and 8. Already a fumble, already an interception in the game by Ponder. And now he's sacked. Boy, he is level. Dumerville, the first one there. And for Dumerville, that's a sack now in 5 consecutive games. He's come all the way back from that devastating injury in training camp last year.
Well, I talked about a one-on-one matchup with the tackle with regards to the Minnesota Vikings going against Clady. They gave no help to Charles Johnson there. And again, without Von Miller, there's one place you really got to focus, and that's on Elvis Dumerville. They need to give help to that left tackle when he's in that situation.
Now 11 games in a row where Denver has at least 2 sacks, if not more. A fair catch by Royal at the 28-yard line. Denver's only had the ball for barely over a minute. Tim Tebow trying to get it cranked up when we return. We introduce the Minnesota defense. They've been healthy by and large in their front 7, but Brian, they have been wrecked with injuries in the secondary.
And that's substantial because we talked about this team having to get more involved with its secondary and linebackers. Look at the missing secondary they have here, both at corner and safety. So that means they're playing a different looking front, an 8-man front with backups to backups.
Tebow hands it off to McGahee, and the ball is on the ground. Minnesota says it has the football. And no, they're saying Denver has the ball. McGahee coming off a 117-yard rushing.
Frazier, he's looking for, or maybe not, he's looking for a lot of help. Remember last week, he could have challenged a goal line play that might have made a difference in the game. Looks like he's getting the challenge in here.
A goal line play was on a 3rd down, you may remember, with Percy Harvin in Atlanta last week.
Minnesota is challenged that the runner lost control of football prior to being down by contact.
2 elements to this. Did the ball come out? And one is it clearly recovered by the Minnesota Vikings. Both elements have to be satisfied. Looks like the ball is starting to move right here, and the knee is not down, so I think we've got a fumble. Was there clearly a recovery by the Vikings? Sure looks like it is.
Cedric Griffin stripped it away. Was it Jamarcus Sanford at the bottom of that pile to cover it up?
We talk about not turning the ball over has been key for Denver, and we focus primarily, obviously, on the lack of interceptions by Tim Tebow. But Minnesota knows, and again, every defense tells the same thing. They're not turnovers, they're takeaways. We're taking the ball away here. This is good, aggressive play. This is exactly what Minnesota needs to put their offense on a short field, because up to now, the offense has struggled a bit.
And there is very little doubt, based on that evidence, that Jamarcus Sanford recovered the ball. Those two guys right there made it happen. Griffin on the strip, Sanford on the recovery.
We've already seen Jamarcus Sanford make an excellent special teams play that led to the ball being on the 1 yard line and leading to a 2-point safety. Now with a fumble recovery, he's having a good half.
And here we are with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the opening quarter. Tim Tebow and the Denver offense has been on the field for less than 2 minutes in this game, yet they lead 7-2.
And they will tell you that we're okay with that. We understand that the evolution of this offense is going to be a work in progress, and the fact that we don't want to turn the ball over. The priorities are run the ball well, don't turn it over, play good run defense. And that formula works unless you get turnovers, or unless the Minnesota Vikings, in this case, can generate some big plays. All of a sudden, that upsets the equation.
Terry McCauley, our referee today, with the verdict.
After review, the runner lost control of the football prior to being down by contact. There was a poor recovery by number 33 of the defense. The ball belongs to Minnesota at the 36-yard line. Minnesota is not charged with a timeout. Please set the game clock to 3 minutes, 45 seconds.
Tom, there's two types of pressure for a young quarterback. One, what do you do after you throw an interception for a pick six? We've seen what Christian Ponder did there, trying to move his team out. Secondly, when my defense puts me in a scoring position, can I follow through with it? That's what gets a defense believing in you as a quarterback.
So just outside the 36-yard line, Ponder rolling, looking for Harvin. What a catch by Harvin. That ball looked like it should have been thrown towards his sideline shoulder. He spun all the way around to get it off the other shoulder.
And we see this all the time. A play fake to a back in the backfield, all but Percy Harvin, and a half-hearted fake. They're focused on that. Look how he out-edges the defense. Anytime I can get the ball in Percy Harvin's hands outside the perimeter of the defense, that's a good thing.
Boy, how about the reaction there by Harvin to make that catch? That was such a poorly thrown ball. This time right on the money. Harvin a first down inside the 25, run out of bounds at the 21-yard line.
Well, there again, okay, we're going to account for Percy Harvin, but where is he? We just saw him in the backfield. Now he's outside of a bunch set. I got my receivers blocking downfield, and now I'm just going to get the ball in his hand in a very convertible, or I should say a very easy pass behind the line of scrimmage. Let this guy see what he can do with it.
Gerhard dropped behind the line of scrimmage by the former Eagle Broderick Bunkley. Part-time starter, primarily a backup in 5 good solid years with the Eagles.
And the difficulty for Minnesota is those DB and linebacker blitzes, those 8-man fronts that Denver wants to bring pressure with, also ends up being a pretty good run stuffing front. Still think Visanthe Shanko is the key down here, obviously, along with Percy Harvin going in motion here.
Coming after Ponder again. We know he can run, and he just throws it away. Ponder is a very good athlete, and we've seen him pile up huge yards in the run game.
And you bring good pressure, but just like taking on Tebow, you can't go inside. Do not let Ponder and Tebow get to the outside. Shanko on the backside. If this is where he wanted to go. He had a touchdown here, but he got flushed out of the pocket to the right.
So now a 3rd down and 10. Drop back into coverage, and a wise choice. Gerhard able to slip out of one tackle, but not the next. Goodman slowed him down. Woodyard finished him off.
We talk about the open field tackle. You'd like to see a good wrap up by the corner here, but you know what? That's a big man versus little man. You're going to see every corner in the NFL coming up in this fashion. Goodman knows, you know what? I'd love to form tackle here, but I'm probably going to live a lot longer if I take him out at the thigh level.
40-yard field goal try by Ryan Longwell. And he drills it right down the middle. So if you're the Denver Broncos, you got to feel pretty good about the way things are going here right now. I mean, your offense has been non-existent. They haven't been on the field. The other team has turned it over twice. And after all that, you still lead 7-5. But of course, it's been a turnaround season for John Fox and the Broncos inside of a season. Well, you go all the way back to the way they started things in training camp. Very little training camp. They started 1-4 with Kyle Orton at quarterback. Week 7 in Miami. Tebow takes over as the starter. Rallies the Broncos from 15 down in the final 3 minutes to win. They've only turned it over 5 times since he took over as the starter. And they've won 5 of the 6 games.
And John Fox knows I can win with this. Remember in Carolina, what was he? Played great defense. Two-headed monster in the running back department. A quarterback that was serviceable, functional, but he wasn't going to lead the league in passing. He has won that way. The big question that he's grappling with now, they had to grapple with in Carolina. Can that formula win a championship? Because that ultimately is what you're going to be judged by. But he realizes he has something unique and special with this group in Denver, not the least of which is Tim Tebow.
So now the Broncos will get the football at the 20-yard line. Jimmy Johnson during the NFL on Fox pregame show, an extensive piece on how you slow down this rushing attack of Tim Tebow and the Broncos. What do you think, Coach Brian Billick? You won a Super Bowl as a head coach in Baltimore.
Well, I can't do any better than Coach Johnson. He was exactly right. You have to play very intelligent, patient, 8-man front. That means Jared Allen on the outside, Roberson on the outside, slow down a little bit. That's a hard thing to tell an outside guy, but you've got to build this 8-man front intelligently. I keep seeing a lot of loose coverage by Minnesota coming into the 8-man front late. That's going to cause a problem for him, just like it did there.
Willis McGahee cuts it back to the inside. What a season it is for McGahee. We mentioned already 5 100-yard rushing games. Many felt like at 30 years old he might have been on the downside. He has certainly come back to life.
And I want you to watch in the secondary how late they're bringing down the safeties deep here in the game. They're trying to build the 8-man front, but they're getting to it late, and that's going to cause a problem. If I'm Minnesota, I put that thing right on the line of scrimmage right now, and it's getting chippy, particularly when you're talking about a 7-5 game.
Well, he tried to pick up on 2nd down and 3. Stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Maybe a half-yard gain. So they'll run one more play at the very minimum before the end of this quarter. 3rd down and 2.
Now they're there. They got everybody up in there.
Tebow denied 1st down yardage. Well, we've called that young man's name a great deal already today, both on defense and special teams. Jamarca Sanford. So the second 3 and out for the Broncos on offense, but at the end of the quarter, they lead 7-5. Minnesota forcing the punt. After Denver fails to convert on a 3rd down and 2. Good punt by Colquitt, chasing Sherrills inside his own 10. He is dropped at the 24-yard line by Spencer Larson. Let's go back to that way to defend this Denver offense.
This is exactly what Coach Jimmy Johnson was talking about. This is an intelligently built 8-man box. And this is the way you play Tim Tebow. Now, you got to be careful at the top. You can't let it get collapsed like the Jets did in San Diego. But just the right layers, just the right angles by the defense and the secondary. You can see Sanford here. Be careful about going inside. Let the other guys take that. You stay with Tebow. You do that, you're going to stop this Denver running game.
And that they do. And now Ponder throws a strike right down the middle of the field. And all the way up to the 45-yard line. The first career catch of Stephen Burton, the rookie, who's being used on offense for the first time all year today.
Nice step up into the pocket here by Ponder. If he can get productivity from the outside like we talked about. We've already seen him go to Visanthe Shenko twice. This could be huge for them. I'd like to see come back right now with another physical run by Toby Gerhart.
Burton did not have a single catch in the preseason. He's only been up for 3 games on the active roster all year long after the first 7 weeks on the practice squad. They give it to Gerhart, and he plows ahead for a gain of close to 4, maybe 5.
And that's what I'm talking about. Look, just the downhill running of Toby Gerhart puts them in a 2nd and 5. I'm a real smart play caller at 2nd and 5. You can see the
Second down, they're going to throw it. And Ponder is leveled again, this time by the linebacker Joe Mays. Tell you what, they better figure out this Denver blitz in a hurry, or Ponder's not long for this game.
What'd we say? Linebacker, secondary. You can see he's going to come right off in here. Pulls the trigger. Unblocked. When you have a linebacker come late, even if you keep a back in the backfield like Gerhart, he's engaged helping the tackle. He's looking down inside on the defensive tackles and the defensive ends. A late rushing linebacker can be lethal to a quarterback.
3rd down and 5. Blitz coming again, and Ponder just throws it away. Heavy pressure off the corner that time by the linebacker DJ Williams.
They tried to slip Percy Harvin out, and it just got, with all the pressures, you're going to see Percy Harvin come in motion here.
Intentional grounding, offense number 9. Ball be placed at the spot of the pass, 4th down.
Yeah, they left vulnerable there. Harvin got caught up in the wash, so now when Ponder dropped back, he had no place to throw the ball. He was in the pocket. There was no one evident to throw it to because Percy Harvin never got out of the front.
Apparently that throw by Ponder outside the pocket but never got it back to the line of scrimmage. John Fox is screaming on the sideline, and then the official, a good 10 seconds after the play had been blown dead, pulled out the flag. Louis booms one to the 15. It's Royal. And a short return to put Denver on offense. 13-13 to go until halftime. And a 7-5 Broncos lead. This Broncos offense, the most 3 and outs among all teams in the NFL so far this season. 2 of them already here today.
False start. Offense number 68. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
Zane Beadles, a 2nd-year left guard out of Utah. Well, for such a young offensive line, this has been a very, very good offensive line for Denver.
Yeah, and it should be, with the exception of Cupper. They're all 1st or 2nd day draft choices, being 1st through 3 rounds, and Cooper being a 5th round draft choice. But this is a good young line.
McGahee on 1st down, picks up close to 4. What's coming up next? 2nd half of our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. The 11-0 Green Bay Packers continue to make their run in perfection. They'll visit the Giants. America's game of the week. Check local listings for the game in your area. Green Bay will play 3 of its final 4 games of the season at home after that trip to the Meadowlands. Tebow rolling, and now he'll run it. And this run out of bounds, we'll see where they mark it, the 27-yard line. So a 3rd down and 4 upcoming for Denver.
This is just right here. This is what I'm talking about. As frustrating as it may be for Jared Allen, stay upfield. I know you got chipped by McGahee, but keep pushing upfield. If you spin inside like you do there, and I understand why, he's getting a heck of a chip by Willis McGahee, but if you give Tim Tebow that edge to the outside, this is what happens. They're now in the third and medium.
Broncos without a first down so far in the game. Until now. That's Lance Ball out of the backfield. So they'll move the chains for the first time. Here we are in the second quarter.
You're going to see here just a straight four-man rush. Nice job keeping the lanes. They get cut down in front of him. Nice presence by Tim Tebow, staying tight in the pocket. I like that he has the ball up high. Allows him to get the ball out of his hands quickly.
McGahee out across the 35 up to the 37-yard line. That'll be a gain of 4 on first down. Well, this rushing attack over the last 7 games, the Broncos are averaging 204 rushing yards per game. They were under 90 per game when they began the year at 1-4. They'll stay on the ground. Not much room this time. Of course, when you talk about this Denver running attack, even though he plays a quarterback position, Tim Tebow, right after McGahee, their second leading rusher.
And that's okay. You're going to take production any way you can. Mike McCoy, the offensive coordinator, he told us, and this is his words, we're kind of making this stuff up as we go, or we're adjusting as we go, because this is new to us as well, and they're doing a nice job with it.
It looked like early movement by the right tackle, Orlando Franklin.
False start. Offense number 74. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
So they'll back him up 5. Meanwhile, you see a slight limp there from Christian Ponder. We brought up just a short while ago. This guy has taken some major hits already.
Yeah, he's been under duress all day. And this Metrodome crowd's got to crank it up. We've seen 2 procedure penalties now. They can have an effect on this Denver Bronco offense with these tackles and the wide rushers they've got with Allen and Robeson. This crowd needs to crank up.
Throw is a catch made, and it is a reception for a first down to the 45-yard line on the reception by Thomas.
This is the kind of throw deep to the outside they want to continue to see Tim Tebow make. Let's see if he gets the foot in. No, he did not. This is going to bring about a challenge. That's still an awfully good throw. Here you can see here, beautifully thrown ball. He's got control, right foot's in, but that left foot is just touching the line. He maintained control. I think you can see better
Minnesota's
here.
challenge that the pass was incomplete. Timeout.
That red flag came right out of the pocket of Leslie Frazier, who won a challenge already and trying to make it 2 out of 2.
I don't think there's any question here. His two parts. Maintain the process, and was his foot that second step inbounds. Looks like his foot is clearly on the white there. And remember now, it was called a reception. He's got control through the process. I think his foot's out of bounds. I give Tim Tebow and that offense credit. They immediately got up on a quick snap to try to avoid the challenge. So that shows a progression on Tim Tebow's part in this offense.
After review, the second foot came down out of bounds. The pass is incomplete. It will be 4th and 9. Please set the game clock to 9 minutes, 41 seconds. Minnesota is not charged with a timeout. They have had 2 successful challenges. They will have 1 more for the remainder of the game.
And Leslie Frazier came under a lot of criticism this week for not challenging the goal line play you alluded to earlier in Atlanta. He's been on it here now. He has been decisive. I'm not sure if he got the word from upstairs or not, but he knew it was a critical enough time, particularly down
deep punt. Chasing Sherrills inside the 10. And he is tackled right there. And there is a penalty flag down. Willis dragged him down. There's penalty flags at each end of the field.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 41. Half of this is the goal from the end of the kick. First down, timeout.
Good coverage by Willis. 9:32 to play until halftime from Minneapolis, and Denver with a 7-5 lead. Minnesota from its own 3, stepping up to make the hit immediately is Joe Mays. Of course, he put a big hit on Ponder earlier in the game. Christian had the fumble inside the red zone. Through the interception that Hagan returned for a touchdown, and has been hit and hit hard through the first 2 quarters of this game. And now this play by Mays to shut down Harvin on first down. Nice safe throw and a crossing pattern by Aroma-Shadu, and that's the first down to loosen the tie a little bit. Out to the 23-yard line.
Backed up in your own end zone, a play fake, just a quick slant by Aroma-Shadu. Coverage from underneath is gone because they're pressuring. Nice safe call, well executed pass by Christian Ponder.
Well, the injury a week ago to Michael Jenkins, outside of Percy Harvin, Ponder does not have a wide receiver on this team that has more than 10 catches so far this year. Gerhardt wrapped up after a short game. We saw Ponder limping a moment ago. For more on that, here's Laura Oakman.
Well, as you showed, he's taken so many hits, but the one that caused him to limp, Tom, was a shot to the right hip. Trainers put a little extra padding in there in that last series, of course, putting him back in, hoping the offensive line will give him a little protection to go with that pad as well.
Laura, thank you. Ponder, the 12th pick in the draft, the 4th quarterback taken, behind Cam Newton, Jake Locker, and Blaine Gabbert. Gerhardt able to drag a tackler across the 25, and a 3rd down and 7 coming up for Minnesota.
Yeah, and he is definitely favoring that hip now. And when you're talking about the right hip on a right-handed thrower, that torque that comes with the lower body, when you push off of it, you're going to feel it. It's going to affect you.
Coming after Ponder again. What a catch by Aroma-Shadu. And that's a first down.
Great job by Aroma-Shadu going up on this quick little corner route. He knew he was going to have to go up high in behind him. Nice job, Christian Ponder. They brought the house on that one. He knew it had to be all on timing. Hip or no hip, that's a good throw.
Aroma-Shadu, the guy who really burst onto the scene, you may remember, at the end of 2009 with the Bears, and then disappeared in that Mike Martz offense last season. Been very quiet until this drive for Minnesota. They open up the middle of the field and just dump it off to Gerhardt, and he's up to the 47, another first down. So while they move the chains, we move west to Los Angeles. Here's Kurt Benefield.
On the pregame show, Andre Johnson talked about trying to help out T.J. Yates making his first NFL starts. This is one way to do it. 50-yard reception down to the 4. A couple of plays later, Yates with his first NFL touchdown to Joel Dreesen. Houston leads the Falcons 10-0, but Atlanta's inside the 10. Tom?
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. First down for the Vikings. This drive starting inside their own 5-yard line. And Schenko can't hang on. Camp Bailey with him step for step, but a catch it looked like that should have been made.
I talked about the concern for Denver. Who do I match up with Visanthe Schenko and my safeties? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to put Champ Bailey on Visanthe Schenko. I like that move by Denver. This guy can run with anybody, and you got to know that that's going to be a primary target for Christian Ponder.
5:40 to play until halftime. They hand it off, and a huge loss back to his own 45-yard line, and again it's Mario Hagan.
We heard Christian Ponder in his check process says we're good, we're good. Well, no, you're not. Because there again, you got everybody down the box. They're bringing pressure for pass pressure that, by the way, can be a pretty good run stuffing front as well.
That's a loss of 6, and Hagan making the most in the absence of Von Miller. Already with an interception return for a touchdown. Only a 3-man rush this time. And Aroma Shadu for a 3rd time on the drive converts on 3rd down. Gain of 18 yards.
Well, this is a long distance to get a throw like that, but you can see Gerhard underneath, taking underneath coverage, and just that skinny post at the top to Aroma Shadu. That's twice now they've been able to convert with a slant and what amounts to a deeper slant on a skinny post to Aroma Shadu.
3 catches, 52 yards on this drive by Aroma Shadu. Second quarter has really hurt Denver this season. 2nd and 10 on the incompletion with an eye on Stephen Burton.
Well, they're getting on the edge if they're not already there in field goal position. Obviously down by 2, so that becomes a priority here. Probably get a run here to maintain, get you a little closer into field goal shape, give you an option maybe to try to convert on a 3rd medium.
Second down and 10. They give it to Gerhard, and he has a 1st down and more. Offended at the 20-yard line by Quentin Carter. Clock rolling down to 4 minutes, and Minnesota rolling into the Denver red zone.
Christian Ponder here checking this. You could hear him say, kill, kill, kill. Whatever they had on, they killed to this, meaning we're going to go downhill. We've seen a couple good downhill physical runs by Gerhard. You're going to see a play-action pass off that same action at some point.
Gain of 16 on the run by Gerhard, right back to the air, and looking for Kyle Rudolph, the rookie out of Notre Dame. It is ruled a touchdown, a penalty flag on the field.
Pass interference. Defense number 20. Penalties decline. Touchdown.
Rudolph, the former standout high school basketball star from Cincinnati Elder High School, using some rebounding muscle right there.
He has great hands. He has the size. You talk about through the process. This is through the process. He shows control. Now them coming up and knocking it out. No, this is a catch for a touchdown.
Well, that is one strong man.
This play is under review.
Of course, they review every scoring play in the NFL. They'll take a look at this one. Look at the play by Rudolph. The strength to hang on. Is it a touchdown? We'll know in a moment.
After review, the receiver established and maintained complete control of football with 2 steps in the end zone. It was a touchdown. The ruling on the field is confirmed.
So Kyle Rudolph, who missed last week's game with an injured quad. When people forget what a great player at Notre Dame Rudolph was, were it not for a very serious injury his senior year, I mean, he would have had some of the gaudiest numbers in all the country. He was still the first tight end taken in last year's draft. And the point after is good. But what an impressive drive. Engineered by Christian Ponder and the Minnesota offense, starting inside their own 5-yard line. And we go to our Fox Command Center to Mike Pereira. Mike, what was it that had him taking a look at that play for so long?
You know, this was not a process, and I think that's interesting because process of the catch only applies to going to the ground. And people say, do you treat the end zone the same way that you treat the play in the field of play? And the answer to that question is no, not in this situation. This would have been a catch and fumble in the field of play. But since that was the case in the end zone, it becomes dead as soon as he maintains control long enough to perform an act common to the game. It's that time frame, and here he clearly did on his feet, and that's why they could confirm this as a touchdown.
And right there where Dawkins came in and stripped it away, as you mentioned, Mike, in the field of play, that would have been a fumble. So we thank Mike Pereira from Los Angeles. And Christian Ponder, despite a fumble, despite an interception return for a touchdown, despite an injury to his right hip, very impressive on that touchdown drive.
And I got to tell you, I'm so pleased that's a touchdown, because I did not want to have to explain to my 90-year-old mother why it wasn't because of rule or process. I'm just thrilled to death it counted.
Ron Cosby drilled by Klein Saucer at the 19-yard line, and D'Imperio there as well. Good play by D'Imperio, the former linebacker, converted into a fullback. So now with 3:28 to go, this Denver offense has only run a total of 14 plays on offense here in the first half. What can it do?
Yeah, this is the type of situation that will stretch Denver a little bit, because this isn't the mode they're in terms of strictly putting it on the quarterback's back.
Maybe a gain of one by McGahee, and again we check in back in Los Angeles.
And the Miami Dolphins have it going. They won 3 out of 4 hosting the Raiders, who have won 4 straight. Matt Moore hooking up with Devon Best, 12-yard touchdown, and the Dolphins at home shutting out the Raiders 13-0 just inside the 2-minute warning. Tom and Brian.
Of course, that's good news for Denver fans. A game behind Oakland in the AFC West. Of course, Denver blew Oakland out of the gym in that fourth quarter win back in week 9. And Tebow in trouble. And down he goes. Remy Adele, the former Saint, with a sack.
Well, you can scheme up and you can go with outside pressure and the like, but you're going to see right here, or you can just beat the guy off the line of scrimmage in the middle. We always say it, quarterbacks hate it with that quick pressure right in the middle. He's turning out figuring, no, I'll go someplace else. Now he's staring at Robertson coming from the outside. That quick inside pressure is always lethal.
So now 3rd and forever for Tebow. Minnesota thinking about getting the ball back. Set up the screen to last ball. And he's up to the 20-yard line, and that'll take us down to the 2-minute warning. Or is Minnesota going to spend a timeout? Play stops.
Minnesota.
Yep.
30-second timeout.
So they're going to stop it here at 2:07. We'll have another stoppage at the 2-minute warning following the punt. And then Christian Ponder with a chance to add to this 12-7 lead.
Well, we've talked before, Tom, that this season now for Minnesota is about really one thing, the development of Christian Ponder. How does he respond to situations? We just saw him take them the length of the field, convert on a couple 3rd and longs. Well, here's another opportunity for Christian Ponder to continue to improve. He's going to get the ball under 2 minutes with an offense that just went the length of the field to score. Can he put them back in field goal, at the very least, field goal position, to come up with another 3 points?
What a punt by Colquitt. He's among the best in the league, but he may have overpunted his coverage. There's a flag. This is coming way back. There's a second flag.
During return, illegal block in the back, receiving team number 41. 10-yard penalty, first down. That is the 2-minute warning.
It's missed call. Raymond with a block in the back. 2-minute warning. Only 17 offensive plays for Tim Tebow and the Broncos, just 46 total yards. But they're only down by 5 points, 12-7. Ponder trying to extend that lead. Lays it off to Shenko. And on first down, he doesn't get out of bounds. Clock continues to run. Minnesota has 2 timeouts left.
Well, with Minnesota huddling up, that tells me they're more about bringing this clock down, waiting for maybe a catch and a run to maybe set them up, but they don't seem intent on trying to take a real shot at getting down the field in the field goal position.
And it's Aroma Shadu yet again. And this will be a timeout by Minnesota. Catch up to the 33-yard line. Aroma Shadu having his best game of the season, his 4th catch for 69 yards. Let's go to Kurt Menefee for the Visa halftime update.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime Report, we'll have scores and highlights from a busy Week 13 in the National Football League, including an update on the knee injury suffered by the Bears' Matt Forte today against the Chiefs, and the big matchup between the Bengals and the Steelers. It's all coming up on the Visa Halftime.
All right, Kurt, thank you very much. Another big hit. This time Doomerville on Christian Ponder.
Yeah, he's definitely coming up limping, and you worry about in halftime. I'll be surprised if he's not on a bicycle in the locker room to keep that hip warmed up a little bit, because that thing will tighten up on him.
Well, we saw this last week at times from Minnesota on offense, and Coach Billick, I got to ask you.
A team cannot call consecutive timeouts. Please set the play clock to 10 and start on my signal. Get on the...
Starting to ask you, how in the world does this happen after a timeout?
I don't know. I can't understand what you're communicating. But they decided to take the runoff on the clock instead. That is their option.
Ponder fires behind Aroma Shadu. Well, I think you're almost doing the offense in this case a major favor, or rather than a penalty.
Well, let's
give 10 more seconds to run another play.
Yeah, let's back up and talk about getting the mistake of the back-to-back penalties. I don't know what the miscommunication was. I question huddling up in terms of burning down the clock. You're running out of clock now, and I only have 1 timeout left. You're putting your quarterback in a tough position to viably get into field goal position.
Well, Gerhardt wisely steps out of bounds right at his own 40-yard line. The season long for Longwell is 53 yards. So you basically need to get down to the opponent's 35-yard line to tee up a 53-yard attempt.
The key here now is to get the first down, so I can, put the ball into the dirt to stop the clock if I want to do that, but only if I get the first down. So it's not like he has to think about field goal position with this throw.
3rd and 3. Well, had no chance from the beginning. Goodman coming up and staying closer with Aroma Shadu this time.
Keep
So
in
out
mind,
the punt team.
Keep in mind Goodman down here at the bottom, 21. He has as much right to that space as does Aroma Shadu. So you talk about the 5-yard contact. He was clearly in inside position. He's already been burned on 2 slants on a 3rd down. He wasn't going to be burned for the 3rd time.
Royal drops back. Standing in his own 20, Royal has returned a punt for a touchdown. Did it against Oakland, Week 9, 85 yards. And that was that go-ahead touchdown in that game. They let this one bounce into the end zone, and 54 seconds left. Denver with the ball. The 2011 NASCAR season, one of the most exciting in history. And this February, Fox Sports will once again be at the Daytona International Speedway. The 54th running of the Great American Race. February the 26th. And it's only on Fox. And our distinguished director, Artie Kempner, is already counting down the days.
Let's see what Tebow does. He's at 54 seconds with 3 full timeouts. That's plenty of time to work the ball down the field.
Lays it off to the Minnesota native Eric Decker. His first catch of the day, 24-year-old, went to Rocori High School about 90 miles outside of Minneapolis in Cold Spring, Minnesota. Of course, he'll be tuned into the Country Music Awards because he's been dating country music star Jesse James. Tebow is sacked and the ball is loose. Was he down? Was he down? No, it's a fumble.
Jared Allen coming off the left side with no help. The ball, he puts the ball down there. This clearly is something that John Fox is likely, or excuse me, the review will come from above.
The football is like being down, is it not, Brian? So in this case, that would be down once the ball makes contact?
If the ball comes out, it's the proverbial, and I don't know if this is the right phase or not. I'm always corrected. Was that simultaneous?
The knee is what I was getting
right.
at while
Did
the ball
he
there
have
was
control
down.
of it right there, and the ball then comes out? I'm going to leave it to a higher pay grade than mine to figure out what happens with that one.
All right, Mike Pereira, we check in with you from the Fox Command Center. What do you think?
Hey, we're looking at it here in the command center just like you, and it's just a question of that right knee being down, and he still has the ball in his hand at that point. I think you put him down.
Well, the challenge comes from the... Actually, under 2 minutes. The review is coming from upstairs. Well, you be the judge. Ball, now knee, but was the ball already out of his hand? It looked like it was out of his hand to me. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, to me it was moving enough. Depending on which sideline I'm on, I'm going to dog cuss the officials either way. So right now, Leslie Frazier is absolutely certain the ball was out, and John Fox is absolutely certain that it's not.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Minnesota.
That is the first turnover by Tim Tebow that he has had during this 4-game winning streak. He's not thrown an interception, nor has he fumbled during this 4-game Denver winning streak.
But 2 fumbles in this game, one by Tebow, one by McGahee. Certainly a huge factor for Minnesota right now.
And Minnesota with 1 timeout remaining, clearly already well in Ryan Longwell field goal range. Ponder to Shanko. That'll be a gain of 5. Clock continues to run to 30 seconds.
Can't waste this much time, son.
Aroma should do yet again, and the clock continues to run. That's a first down. And now they will spend their final timeout. 8 seconds remain. All right, Coach Billick on the sideline. If you're the Vikings, do you take the 1 shot in the end zone and have enough time for the field goal try, or do you just send out the field goal unit right now?
We've been here before. We saw the Philadelphia Eagles with 8 seconds on the clock. Let Michael Vick take 1 more shot, and it's clear cut. You got a quick read and shot to the end zone, or throw it away. Otherwise, you run the risk of a sack, taking too much time. They didn't do that, took points off the board. Again, a learning curve. Now it looks like they're putting Joe Webb in. No, here comes Ponder. So again, this is a learning curve for Christian Ponder. Whatever it is you do, you better do it quick. Percy Harvin comes out. If you're going for the end zone, I'm not quite sure why you would take Percy Harvin out, but we're going to find out. Joe Webb's in the game in the upper right, up into here. We'll see what they got in mind.
Ponder rolling. Throws it away. I got to tell you, Brian, you know, Ponder is a rookie, but you're trying to develop him. It's just so hard to understand. Kyle Rudolph is your biggest, strongest offensive target. Percy Harvin is your best offensive player.
Yeah.
And both of them, when you're taking a shot to the end zone, are standing on the sideline next to the coach.
Yeah,
that's hard to understand.
Yeah, you just have too much time to think this stuff up sometimes as coaches.
25-yard field goal try, and it is good by Ryan Longwell. So that's the way the first half comes to an end. Only 48 yards of offense for Tim Tebow and the Denver Broncos. Well, the Broncos defense played well up until the final few minutes of the first half, and you wonder, are they a little bit tired right now?
Well, it can certainly be a factor, but we've still got the game in that manageable form that the Broncos love. Again, it's taken 3-4 quarters for them to crank up. They need to crank it up here pretty quick.
Well, we're at halftime. Minnesota with the lead. We'll be back to the NFL on Fox right after this. While as you speculated, Christian Ponder would be on the bicycle trying to keep that right hip loose, which is Laura Oakman reported on. He injured in the first half. Ironically enough, he played his best football after the injury, those final 2 drives just before halftime. So Eddie Royal takes a second half kickoff, or it's Cosby. It's up to the 23-yard line. And you look inside the numbers, and you would think just based on some of these numbers, especially when you put turnovers, each team with a couple, that Minnesota would have a bigger lead than 15-7.
And Denver can take heart in that. Now, Mike McCoy, the offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos, talked about how they adjust on the run. And it isn't until that 3rd and 4th quarter they get a sense of what it is they need to do because this offense is evolving. The problem is with those numbers, you don't have much to go on.
Only 19 plays on offense. And Tebow to throw on first down, and the catch is made by Eric Decker up to the 39-yard line, and that's a first down.
We've seen this, Minnesota do this several times in terms of the pulling up the linebackers with the play fake, opening up the alley to this slant, Decker pulling it into the body. Minnesota's got to be patient. They'll let those type of plays happen. Don't let Tim Tebow get cranked up.
And getting cranked up on that carry, a gain of close to 10 by Willis McGahee, chased down by E.J. Henderson. So back-to-back plays spanning nearly 30 yards for Denver.
And they're doing it from traditional looks, like this is just a 2-back alignment, just an inside zone play by McGahee. They'll build off this. They remain with the 2 backs in.
With a delay to McGahee and another big run. Still on his feet, and that's a gain of 15.
Boy, just 2 simple downhill plays, an inside zone and just a lead ISO. McGahee now, he was with me in Baltimore. This is a tough running back. Had better than 100 yards last week in their win. You combine it with this, if Tim Tebow can get cranked up, just the formula they need to take on the Vikings. They are pounding them now.
Are they ever? That is another big carry for McGahee, and close to another first down.
There's nothing complex about this. This is just 2-back offense. We talked about how Mike McCoy, the offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos, they kind of feel their way through it. What's going to work? They're clearly deciding, let's just play straight up football here.
Second down, less than a yard, and I'm not sure if McGahee got there. Denver already with more drive on this drive in yardage than they had during the entire first half on offense.
This is where the option of Tim Tebow on a 3rd and short is lethal to a defense. This has got to have Tim Tebow written all over it in terms of optioning off one side or the other.
Well, they
just go straight forward.
Yep, and that's a first down for Ball to the 22.
I like this. We got a man down here. Jared Allen. No, excuse me, Robinson.
So Robinson, the injured Viking, while they attend to him, we take an injury timeout. Well, they're taking a look at Robinson over on the sideline.
Yeah, you can see just the top of the helmet right here. His neck gets stretched. Hopefully that's just a burner. He'll be back.
What a start to this second half for the Broncos. And now Tebow to throw it. And it's dropped by Decker. Up until that play, a 17-yard completion, 11-yard run, 14-yard run, 9-yard run.
Nice execution, quick play fake. We talked with Tim about getting used to his receiver. You got to remember, no offseason, installing a new offense. He was the second and third quarterback, hadn't worked with these guys a lot. That relationship you have to have with receiver is still clearly developing for Tim Tebow.
McGahee met head on this time by Adele. And a third down and long coming up for the Broncos on this opening possession of the second half. You see the numbers on Tebow. 5 of 8, 46 yards. Ground game outside of this drive has been extremely quiet. But already quadruple the number of first downs on this drive than they had in the entire first half. 9th play of this drive. To the end zone, and it's a touchdown. Tebow to Demaryius Thomas. And what a start to the second half for Tebow and Denver on offense.
And right now, I have no idea what Cedric Griffith and Jamarcus Sanford were seeing. You can see he's going to let the outside receiver go. And it looked like he thought he was getting help over the top. I have no idea what drew Cedric Griffith off coverage to come up underneath.
Well, they're going to go ahead and just take the point after rather than try and tie it up with a 2-point conversion. First drive of this second half. Tebow and the Broncos march down the field to draw within 1. Large chunk of it coming on the ground. 9 plays, 78 yards, and a touchdown throw from Tebow to Thomas. Tebow his 9th touchdown against 1 interception on the season. And Matt Prater puts a foot on it. And Sherrills brings it out 5 yards from his own end zone. And not a wise decision this time. Third time of the game, Minnesota starts a drive inside its own 10. And you can see Ponder still limping. For more on that, here's Laura Oakman.
Well, Tom, Leslie Frazier said that hip was tightening up in halftime. He said we tried to keep him as loose as we could in the locker room. He walked the sideline the entire last series. Right now, Frazier said we're simply fighting time, and we're going to let him go and see how long he can make it. Also, defensive end Brian Robinson in the locker room. They're evaluating for concussion.
Laura Oakman, thank you very much. Harvin in the backfield. Picks up close to 3. We talked about all the hits that Ponder took. 7 times he was hit, sacked twice.
And this has an cumulative effect on the quarterback, as you can see with that tightening of the hip. Worst thing that could happen for the Vikings right now, beyond where they are in the game, is to go a 3 and out and send Ponder right back to the sideline and let that hip stiffen up some even more.
Well, they're using Joe Webb again as a receiver. Ponder down the middle and slightly underthrown, but is that a catch by Aromashadu? It is right at the 30-yard line, and that's a first down. Well, Aromashadu certainly has stepped up after the injury a week ago to Michael Jenkins.
We talked about the Minnesota Vikings lacking that presence on the outside. Shanko inside positive, Percy Harvin moving all over the place. If Aromashadu can keep this up, it's going to open up things for those other 2.
He had 9 catches the entire year. He got 6 in the game today. And no running room for Gerhardt.
Denver, when I look, you can see right here. Watch Dawkins on the outside here. You talk about a safety being able to come up and play like a linebacker. Takes on the pulling tackle, forces the play back inside. Brian Dawkins, huge pickup for them from Philadelphia. How much would Philadelphia love to have Brian Dawkins back right now to hold that group together?
Blitz coming and pick it up. And Champ Bailey got tied up with a Roma Shadu. No flag. So a third down and close to 10 coming up for Ponder. And Brian, you made the point at the time that halftime was going to be a tough time for Ponder, because anybody who's ever had a hip injury, it's a kind of injury that, boy, once that thing begins to stiffen at all, it becomes extremely painful.
And once it gets to a point where it is stiff, there's no loosening it up. As Laura said, Leslie Frazier, all we can hope to do is hold it off, because the clock is ticking on that hip. Can they get through the game and let him finish?
Lofted to Booker out of the backfield, and he is short of the first down.
Nice call, nice execution, but for Denver, anything short of a conversion is a win, and that's exactly what they've done on that third down. Brian Dawkins fired up, coming up and making that play. He knew with his offense going the length of the field for the score, forcing now this offense on a quick couple and out, they can take control of this game.
Boyle waiting on the front from Chris Cluey. Of course, they have a new long snapper this week, Matt Catula, after the injury last week to Cullen Leffler. Drop to the 21. Broncos get the ball when we come back. First down, Denver back on offense. McGahee spun down after a gain of a yard. We invite you to get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL right now. If you're just joining us, the Broncos 46 yards of offense in the first half. But they go 78 yards the first possession of this second half to get within a point. Slipping a tackle is McGahee, and appears to be a half a yard short of a first down. McGahee able to break the tackle of Chad Greenway and then sprung loose.
Right here you see the pulling guard. This is supposed to go inside, but he sees he's going to bounce this thing outside. How many times do we talk about you can't let a back get outside the perimeter of the defense? Nice jump cut by Willis McGahee.
Opponents this year are 13 for 13 on 3rd and 1 against Minnesota. And I believe that's their first stop. How about that?
If you hadn't have said that, they'd have gotten it.
Tell you, I got to wonder again. Well, a team that runs the ball so well. Hard to believe that Denver could not convert on 3rd down and a yard. Tebow wanted to go for it on 4th down. His coach says no way. That one nearly blocked. Sherrill's a fair catch at the 15. So a big stop there on 3rd and 1. First time Minnesota's done it all year. Well, Fox tomorrow, the country music's biggest event. Performances by some of the biggest stars. Trace Atkins and Kristen Chenoweth host the American Country Awards live tomorrow, 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. From the 15, Lorenzo Booker on the carry out across the 20 up to the 21-yard line. A little over halfway through this 3rd quarter, and a 1-point game with Minnesota in front.
This obviously flops now in the 3rd quarter. The first half, it was all Minnesota, time of possession, yards, but obviously a long drive by Denver.
off the right side. And still on his feet is Percy Harvin. That's good enough for a first down.
Great job by Kleinsasser. You're going to see him come in here. This action here is going to allow him to lead around. I'll say it again. You can't let an offense get outside the perimeter of the defense. Nice sustained block. Percy Harvin stretch, has the ability to cut back inside.
Got a good block from Kleinsasser, playing in his 177th game as a Viking. And here's Gerhardt. That's the way he used to run it at Stanford. $14-yard gain for Toby Gerhardt, who's rushed for 53 yards so far today.
And this doesn't happen without the push up front. Hat on a hat. Look at the push. Maintain. Look at the alley right there. I'd come right back and shove Gerhardt in there again. Try to wear down this Denver Bronco defense. They can pressure all they want from the outside. If you can run down the middle of this defense, it's demoralizing.
A little too high for the intended receiver, Aroma Shadu. See the numbers on Ponder. The interception return for a touchdown in the first half by Mario Hagan. Gerhardt, who in really a game and a half, replacing the injured Peterson, and only rushed for 44 yards in the 2 games. They're running well here today. Coming back to get it is Joe Webb, the backup quarterback. Flags are down, and Denver is saying that Webb pushed off to get that open. And they're right.
Pass interference, offense number 14. 10-yard penalty, second down.
You know, I like what they're doing, the throwback here, but let's keep in mind, Joe Webb's the backup quarterback, good athlete, that's fine. He pushed off there. This is Champ Bailey, okay? You're not going to beat Champ Bailey. I don't care how good an athlete Joe Webb is. You're not going to beat, legally anyway, Champ Bailey on a one-on-one route. This guy's too good.
So that takes away what would have been the second reception of the year by Webb. He's thrown a pass, he's run the ball, he's caught a pass this year in very limited time. And now they set up the screen to Gerhardt. Hard hitting up close to midfield. Third down coming up. We check in with Kurt back in Los Angeles.
The Bronco fans were like this. The Raiders are being thrashed in Miami. Matt Moore on the draw, 6-yard run. Look at this. Dolphins all over the Raiders, 27-0. And they're still in the third quarter. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
27-0.
Wow, you don't think the Broncos aren't watching this one? Someone in the Bronco organization is watching this as well. Should Oakland go down, I'd run that screen again.
Defender fell down, and Harvin to the end zone.
Or do this. That's okay with me. You're going to see right here in the slot, looks like they get tied up. Got away with just a little bit of push there on Chris Harris. And now you're not going to catch this guy.
But this guy is so good. So good. Well, Brett Favre really took him under his wing his rookie year. He's had to play through serious issues with migraine headaches. Misses a lot of practice time. And with all the injuries to this Minnesota offense, playing with a rookie quarterback, these last 2 weeks, Harvin has said, get on my back and ride it out. Well, now it is 34-0 Miami over Oakland. That game in the third quarter. But Denver is trailing by a game to the Raiders in the AFC West. And trailing with 3:12 to play here in Minnesota. 22-14, and Cosby out of the end zone. And Quan Cosby still on his feet, run out of bounds by the kicker Longwell. On the other side of midfield at the Minnesota 41-yard line.
Well, we talk about a running play can't get outside the perimeter of the defense. A return can't get, you can't let a return get outside the perimeter of the coverage. Nice job. This is just, ooh, got a little bit of a face mask there they got away with, the helmet.
Not a little bit.
This is just what Denver need. You saw those standings to get a road win here, particularly if that holds up in Oakland, changes the whole complexion of the AFC West.
Tebow with the football after the play fake, looking around. Shaking off tacklers. How about that play from Tebow? And it's inside the 10, and that is a touchdown for Denver.
I love the presence of Tim Tebow continuing to look down the field. Whether he's a rookie quarterback, whether it's a guy that loves to run the ball. I know he's not a rookie. I'm saying whether it's a rookie quarterback in general, your instinct is to pull the ball down. But to keep your eyes down the field. You got to remember now, Demaryius Thomas was actually the first pick that year in the draft. Tebow was the second first-round pick. Demaryius Thomas was the 22nd pick. Tebow came a couple picks after that at 25.
And of course, Thomas was inactive the first 5 games after injuring the Achilles during the offseason. Well, you can't teach this.
No, play fake, looking fine. Now I'm going to do what I do. I'm outside the perimeter. Now I get back outside. I can run, but no, I've got my vision downfield. And we talk about the familiarity. This is what you don't have when the season has gone the way the Broncos have. This type of thing. Look, when a play breaks down, what do I do? What do you do? What have we done in the past? Here, just stay in the quarterback's vision. Nice job by Thomas staying alive and then dragging into the end zone.
Tebow shaking off the tackle here after that cut to shred Henderson, and then laying on his stomach, buried behind a pile of photographers.
What happened? What happened?
Didn't know what happened.
Did it score? Did it score? He had to check with the official. Was it a score? All right. Look at the look in those eyes. Wow. All right, I'm in.
All right, well, here we are. We are in a 1-point game and still a quarter plus 2 minutes and 48 seconds to go. I thought you asked one of the most interesting questions I've heard to Tebow yesterday. As Sherrills again to bring it out deep from his own end zone. And again, that is just a terrible decision by Sherrills. But getting back to the conversation, you asked Tebow, at the end of the year, your final game of the season, what do you think your stat sheet would probably look like? Because Mike McCoy, the offensive coordinator for Denver, kept talking about how this really is an evolving offense. And of course, they didn't have training camp. They didn't have the offseason for Tebow to try and make that leap from his rookie year to his second year in the NFL.
Yeah, let's remember the sequence. No offseason, brand new system with other quarterbacks in it. You can't undervalue how little coaching he's had in what they're doing now, and the relationship with receivers. They are doing this on the run, and right now it looks pretty good.
Well, of course, it's taken a while to get this offense going in a lot of games. Well, they have it going so far here in the second half, and all that, of course, was set up off the big return by Quan Cosby. Cosby, a guy who was so good in the return game for Cincinnati when they won the AFC North 2 years ago, and then was hurt a lot last year. Second down, he'll turn around and hand it off to Gerhardt. And it's still on his feet. It's good hard running by Gerhardt to pick up a little more than 2. And Dawkins up to make the stop again.
Quentin Carter for the Denver Broncos is signaling for someone to come in. I don't know what happened to him, but we've seen Denver calm down in its pressure packages a little bit. I'm not sure, given what Minnesota just did on that long drive, they don't need to crank those back up again.
And Kyle McCarthy, number 34, comes in to replace him. There you see they started inside the 15 6 times. Third down. What a pass. Right on the money to Schenko. And they convert on a third down up to the 32.
I'm so impressed with Christian Ponder. Last week we had him for the first time when they played Atlanta, Tom, and we were impressed with his mobility outside the pocket, the speed. Haven't seen a lot of that today because of the hip. But this guy has a nice, clean, quick delivery. As he continues to grow as a pro, they can get him some more assets on the outside. I like what's happening with Christian Ponder.
Gerhardt across the 35. That'll be a gain of close to 6 on first down.
And keep doing that. Keep shoving Gerhardt in the middle. That's going to contract the defense of the Denver Broncos and now let you make one of those play action fakes again to Visanthe Schenko. Aroma Shadu is showing up on the outside. You'll open up some alleys for him as well.
Gerhardt again. And maybe got back to the line of scrimmage. Dawkins again coming up from the safety spot in on the tackle. And that should be the final play of this third quarter. And here we are yet again, where the Broncos will go into a fourth quarter within 3 points either way of an opponent. Even Mary Tyler Moore might smile with Tim Tebow in town here in Minneapolis. Of course, Coach Billick, much has been made about the fourth quarter work of the Denver Broncos on offense. The overtime wins, including back-to-back weeks over the Jets. Then that thriller against San Diego. What's in store here today in Minnesota? Batted down at the line of scrimmage on a first down pass by Ponder. Looked like Ayers was the one who got a hand on it. So it's time to punt. 4 seconds into this final quarter, and Denver will get the football.
And this is what impresses me, Tom. You're going to see here here they are again on the road. To do that on the road, that's something special.
Well, they've won 4 consecutive games away from home. They've not won 5 in a row since John Elway's 1998 season. Short punt this time by Kluwe. And there is contact made. No penalty flags are down on the play.
Well, we're going to have to see who was the contact with. Was it his own players? Was it a Viking player? They'll sort that out. There's a fair catch signal, so clearly he's got free, but it's not the Viking player he runs into. He's run over by Matthew Willis, runs him over in running. Eric Frampton passed there, so this is your own player. This is friendly fire.
And of course, this is Eddie Royal, who is hurt. He already had the toe injury from last week. Didn't know if he would be able to play this week. And Royal is the injured Bronco after running into his own man. We'll be back. Eddie Royal shaken up. Listen to this. Running into fellow receiver Matthew Willis. But it was recovered by Chris Harris down at the bottom of the pile. And on first down, McGahee breaks it up the middle, and that'll be a gain of 15 for McGahee, who's closing in on his 6th 100-yard game of the season. He has 85.
Well, the grease board offense of the Denver Broncos, the grease pen right now is pretty simple. Get downhill with Willis McGahee, get a fullback in front of him, and pound away at the Minnesota Vikings.
McGahee again, penalty flags are down. That's a gain of close to 8. But 2 flags on the play.
Offense number 86. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's the tight end Daniel Fells.
It's been amazing to this point and have not had more of these. With the way you see Willis McGahee jump cut outside, we see Percy Harvin on the outside for Minnesota. You would typically see more holding calls. I think it shows great discipline on both parts, both teams, to not hold more than this.
So a 1st and 10 becomes a 1st and 20 from the 29-yard line.
Tom, much has been made of the Tim Tebow throwing action. Let's go back. You and I did the Sugar Bowl here. Watch how low the ball is here. This is what we're talking about in the delivery. Then the big arm over the top. You can see the same thing here. Not quite as low, but by dropping it low like this, then the big wind up in the crank, the ball comes out later. Are you going to change that action? No. Here you can see a little bit better, gets it out a little bit quicker. It's all about the feet and developing his anticipation, because his throwing action is going to remain the same.
Tebow runs it out across the 35 up to the 38-yard line. It brings up 3rd down and long. Broncos are trailing here at the 13-minute mark by a single point.
And this is the down and distance I'm loving to see Tim Tebow in. This is where the growth as a quarterback has to come. Not that he can't run around in the magic way he does, but in order to convert on this down and distance, can he make that throw with the proper timing, or know to drop it off and let someone else try to run for it?
Flag down. Tebow still looking down the field. He connects down the field. Question is, will this play stand? That's Willis on the reception.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Offense number 78. 10-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's Ryan Clady. He's had his share of holding penalties this year. In fact, more than any offensive tackle in the league.
Now watch his hands. He starts low. He's okay, but then he works up. Watch the helmet get pushed back of Jared Allen. You know that type of thing. Even though you start low, you cannot move it up to the face mask or the helmet. You got to be smart now here. This is part of the progression of a young quarterback. You want to make a play, but this is a long way to go.
A 3rd and 12 becomes 3rd and 22, and he's going to hand it off. So ball up to the 34, and you're wondering about that down and distance. Were it not for the penalty, they were able to convert on that 3rd down and long, but the penalty takes it away.
Nice job by the Minnesota defense. Now we're going to get challenged for the Minnesota offense, because you're up by 1 point now. You're not in a position with the 4th quarter heroics of Tim Tebow to where you think you can sit on a 1-point lead, all but with 11 plus minutes on the clock.
Oakland. A little shorter this time, and the fair catch is made by Sherrills at the 23. Jared Allen, even without the lid, in pursuit of Tim Tebow. Vikings stop the Denver drive. Already without Von Miller. What about some of the injured Broncos right now, Laura Oakman?
Well, right now their secondary is taking a hit. Quentin Carter, safety Quentin Carter, suffering from cramps. His return is questionable. Also, after that wicked hit you guys showed with Eddie Royal, trainers took him into the locker room. They're calling it a neck injury. Looked like they were also kind of giving him a woozy test.
And of course, David Bruton, another safety. Loris updated us during the break. Nicked up as well, so Kyle McCarthy is in at safety. 1st down throw, incomplete. And a flag comes in. Goodwin got tied up with a Romashadu right at the 40-yard line.
Pass interference, defense number 21. Automatic 1st down.
We saw this before where he got position, but now this far down the field, you can't inhibit a receiver from continuing on. You have a right to that position, but as he went over the top, you can't put your hands on him. That's a good call.
Well, first down at the 36-yard line. Gerhardt cuts it back to the inside, breaks a tackle, breaks another. That'll be a gain of 9. And let's send it back to Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Menefee.
And a not-so-subtle program reminder that America's Game of the Week comes your way after this. Aaron Rodgers tries to keep the Packers' perfect season going as they visit Eli Manning and the New York Football Giants. That's America's Game of the Week. When you guys are done there in Minnesota. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
Kurt, thank you very much. Gerhardt, 17 carries, 70 yards in a game. And he'll get it for an 18th time. And that's a first down crossing midfield to the 47. This is by far the best Gerhardt has looked in now basically 3 games replacing Peterson since he got hurt in the first quarter against Oakland 3 weeks ago.
Well, the fullback, D'Imperio, they're finding, I think Toby Gerhardt's better with a fullback in front of him. And the zone plays, the stretch zones, they're configured here now without that lead blocker to be that if indeed they run it. He's not as effective with those. Get him downhill with a lead back in front of him.
Under 10 minutes to play, and Ponder to throw and knocked down by Dawkins. Well, Dawkins has been all over the field here today. Dawkins, after spending 13 years in Philadelphia, his 16 seasons as a safety, tied for most all-time at that position.
They've brought him from the inside many times. I tell you what, Dawkins is one of those players as a coach. I guarantee you the Philadelphia Eagles would be a better football team today had Dawkins been there to help lead that defense that was going through transition.
They're coming after Ponder. He gets it away. The crossing pattern to Harvin already with a big touchdown. And he's going for another.
Live by the blitz, die by the blitz. We just saw Brian Dawkins knock down a pass. Percy Harvin's going to cross the field. They zone blitz, leaving a voided zone on the backside. They don't have enough bodies. This guy in the open field, game, set, and match.
Point after is good. You saw that block by D'Imperio. You just mentioned his name, which sprung Bailey away from Harvin, who finds the end zone for the second time today in an 8-point Minnesota lead. Now Brian Dawkins barking to his defense, which surrenders a huge touchdown on a short crossing pattern by Harvin. That ball bounces in front of Quan Cosby, and Cosby is up to the 35-yard line. Again, it's Longwell who stopped him.
This is what I'm talking about. You're going to see Brian Dawkins come from across the field. They voided a zone blitz here. And now as Percy Harvin comes across the field, they either broke man coverage or this guy's over the top. Looks like he can't get there. Nice job by the fullback, clipping it off right here. This is a great job by D'Imperio. He's been doing a heck of a job for Toby Gerhardt. Did a nice job in the open field, breaking Ponder for the touchdown.
First 300-yard passing game for the rookie Ponder. In fact, it's a Minnesota rookie record, the 300. And 42 yards. And now Tebow to a wide-open Thomas. All the way to the 25-yard line. Things are really heating up here in the fourth quarter.
This is the second time Cedric Griffin, you can see him here, right here. He thinks he's getting help over the top. He's not trailing, and that help is not there. We used to have a saying, 8 is enough. When you're trying to run a run predominantly run offense, let the front eight take it. You've got to be back in coverage.
Thomas over 100 yards, and here's McGahee, who's gone over 100, and he will lean into the end zone. Wow! Bang, bang, bang from offenses. Denver, Minnesota, Denver right back. Do you go for two here now?
Well, we're now at the point where you think about that. Yeah, early on not. Here, I think you definitely think about it. We're far enough into the fourth quarter, and I think that's what they're going through right here. You kept it the 8-point differential before, but now you want to bring this thing up to where, because you're still within a field goal even if you don't get it.
Now we've seen them go to the quarterback draw. That was a play that took care of the Jets.
I would think that the Minnesota Vikings and the rest of America know that that's a possibility here. I would expect something else.
They're 2 out of 4 on 2-point conversions for the year. Tebow will take it himself, and he has tied the game on a 2-point conversion run. Well, all of America might know it, but apparently on a 2-point conversion, they can't stop.
Now, fair enough, that's not a quarterback draw now. That's just a read option coming out the other way. That's classic Tim Tebow. That is unique to the Denver Broncos into the NFL. This is where he's at his best, down inside the red zone. First, you can see Willis McGahee. And for all we can talk about Tim Tebow, you're talking about McGahee, that offensive line, the defense up to this point. It has been team wins. Willis McGahee, a good, tough running back downhill. And then the 2-point conversion for Tim Tebow now. Just a little fake, and now get to the edge. Classic Tim Tebow. Scoreboard looks like a pinball machine right now.
Boy, you're not kidding. Well, like Dawkins on one side, Allen, the leader of the Minnesota defense, looking for answers. McGahee, another 100-yard rushing game, 111 of them. Tebow, you see his numbers, 8 of 11, has not thrown an interception. He did have a fumble, his first during the last 5 games.
And I know you're all about your game, but I promise you the Denver Broncos are aware of the Miami-Oakland game. This opportunity, they talked to us before about this is a game they said they had to have to come into Minnesota, a team that's struggling, to be able to win on the road against a team that you ought to beat. They knew that was the challenge for them.
Coming up next, another good one on Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader, the Packers. 11-0. Of course, they lost in the NFC Championship game to Tom Coughlin and the Giants, who went on to beat an unbeaten New England in the Super Bowl. Well, next on America's Game of the Week, those two teams collide. Check local listings for the game in your area. Aaron Rodgers, Eli Manning going toe-to-toe. Willis McGahee apparently being tended to on the sideline. We have a tie game. And Gerhardt, who's had a nice game, a catch out of the backfield up to the 27. Gerhardt has rushed for 77. McGahee, 6 100-yard rushing games, the most since he had a career high 7 of them. But that's going way back from when he first came into the league.
When we had him in Baltimore, I tell you what, I love Willis McGahee. He was tough, tough-minded, played hurt, and was willing to step in whatever role you wanted to give to him.
First down throw and a first down catch by Harvin.
We talk about the spread offense of Denver and Tim Tebow. We talk about Percy Harvin. Where is he in the Minnesota offense? Both these teams are having success today with a fullback-laden offense, downhill, mano-a-mano, you hit me, I'll hit you. We'll do some play-action plays off of it, but right now this is a man-against-man downhill contest.
Ponder has stayed very clean here in the second half. Penalty flag comes down. Aroma ruled out of bounds on the catch, but again, flags are behind the line of scrimmage.
Holding, offense number 71. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's it. Native of Fountain, Colorado, Phil Lodeholt, the big right tackle. That's just outside of Colorado Springs.
Look at the wide rusher. How many times we talk about these wide ends? He's all by himself. He's got to get wide. Toby Gerhart can't help inside. He expected more help inside and had to get a grab to try to keep him off his quarterback.
That's a big hit, that penalty. Backs you all the way up to the 28-yard line. First down and 20. Gerhart get a decent chunk of it back. Almost all of it back. Man, he has looked good today. And what about Ponder? You brought up that hip injury. Laura told us about it early in the game. They have protected him so well here in the second half. And he's thrown for a Minnesota rookie franchise record. 361 yards. But now a very important third down as we're under 7 minutes to play. Von Miller injured the thumb last week, had surgery to clean it up. They were worried about the incision more than the pain, and they said you can rest assured, barring any complications, he will be back next week. They were worried about that incision becoming infected. But here's third down.
Well, we said third downs would be the key coming into the game. None bigger than this one. Keep the ball away from Tim Tebow in the fourth quarter.
Ponder will run for the first down. That's what he did so well against Oakland. Even though it was a loss, he ran the ball so well.
And I want you to watch, once he starts to step up, it's man coverage. Everybody has their back to Christian Ponder. And as we talked about, even with the sore hip, this guy can run. Goodman right here, he's got no idea that Ponder's even pulled the ball down.
Clock ticking now, under 6 minutes to play. Ponder drops it off to Gerhart. Nice tackle made by Hagan in the open field.
I love the patience of Ponder here. We've seen it a couple times. They get into the eye. They smash away. They play fake. He checks downfield. He doesn't like it. He drops the ball off to Gerhart, who after the fake is cleared through the line. He's showing a maturity and an understanding of what his team needs right now in a tie ball game to keep moving the ball down the field.
So quiet, obviously, when Minnesota's on offense. Seventh play of the drive. Gerhart. And again, pretty nice play right there by a Denver linebacker, Mays, able to trip up Gerhart. So here we go again on third down for the rookie Ponder.
Every third down seems to get bigger than the last. You convert the last one, that's fine. You got to do it again here. And the key here is one more conversion, notwithstanding obviously moving it down the field for the touchdown. You're now in field goal range. So obviously this third down to sustain a drive and put them in scoring position under 5 minutes in a tie ball game.
And they're coming after Ponder. Pick up the blitz. And the catch is made by Stephen Burton, the rookie. To the 25-yard line. They'll spot it at the 26. That's another first down, a gain of 17.
Same type of play we saw to Harvin. You're going to see the receiver cross the field with pressure. They pick it up to avoided area on the backside. Give it enough loft. Let my receiver get underneath it. Ponder is standing up under the pressure because they're right in his face.
You know what, Brian? It should be noted. This offensive line from Minnesota has really gotten things together in the second half. We showed you all the hits that Ponder took. 7 of them. He has barely been touched here in the second half. And when you give him time, he's proven he can hurt you. Short gain, flag down.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Defense number 77. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
It's Broderick Buckley. A We're under 4 minutes to go now.
And that's in the interior of the line. You just don't see that called very often. Just to the right here, you can see, look at the hands up through the face. We saw one of those on Gerald Allen earlier. And it's hard. You're inside, your hand fighting, all of a sudden your hand, the palm of your hand moves up into the face mask. It's tough. But what a big penalty for him.
Well, that gets him down to the 15, and I don't think that's right.
Penalty's 5 yards, first down.
Yeah, should be at the 20.
You know, when we moved the umpire to back behind the offense, we thought we'd see less of those calls, and we have. So that's special that they got the call there. Now, the umpire right here, he moves back behind the defensive side of the ball because of the time of the game or as they get inside the 10-yard line.
Play action, looking to Aroma Shadu. And good coverage that time by Bailey. He may have gotten a hand on that. Let's take a look.
Yeah, Champ Bailey, you're not going to live long challenging Champ Bailey. None better than he. This is actually a heck of a throw. On the run by Ponder. Back shoulder where it was safe because he saw Champ Bailey over the top and in front. That's just beautiful coverage. I'd find someone else to pick on.
Well, they've been going after Goodman with success most of the day. To Aroma Shadu.
Shenko.
Down goes Ponder. Maybe a yard loss. So here we are again on third down. 3:40. Clock running. Both teams have all 3 timeouts remaining.
This is going to test your rookie quarterback because here's his instructions if we don't run the ball. All right, we're going to do this. There's a guy in the back of the end zone. You can dump it off. Read this, do that, check this. Oh, by the way, do not take a sack. A lot of things going on for this young man right now.
Harvin on the field. And that one just got away from him, a misread. It almost looked as though it slipped out of his hand as well.
Yeah, he thought someone was going to the corner. Yeah, and he was in the pocket. Because you can see right here, and he's in the pocket, and he's throwing to nobody. You know, he can't make a case that I was going to come underneath to Burton, and that's why the penalty was called. It is a huge penalty. What did I just say? You can't take a sack. You can't back us out of field goal range. The penalty's the same thing. What they've got to decide, did the ball get away? And this is a tough one. You can't legislate intent. There was a receiver in the area. It was an errant high ball.
There is no foul for intentional grounding. The quarterback was not under pressure. Fourth down.
And that's the distinction. Let's go back. In order for that call to come about, the quarterback has to be under imminent pressure. They're determining that he wasn't, that he was throwing the ball away, not to avoid a sack. He just threw the ball away or it was a bad throw. Imminent pressure is a key element, in intentional grounding.
This will be a 39-yard field goal try. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is good by Ryan Longwell. Well, we welcome those of you who have been watching Tampa Bay and Carolina. Things are pretty quiet in the first half. In the second half, they have cranked up in a hurry. Percy Harvin, big touchdown. Then a throw from Tebow to Thomas for the first of 2 touchdowns. Harvin came right back again to put Minnesota in front. McGahee runs it in for a touchdown. Tebow ties it on a 2-point conversion. And now Christian Ponder, who set a Minnesota rookie record with 381 passing yards, takes Minnesota down the field to put him in front. But Tebow will get the football one more time. 3 timeouts remaining and his team down 3.
I'll tell you what, if I'm going to write a movie script, I'm going to put a team on the road with their arch rival having just lost, so we can tie it up. I'm going to get a guy that looks like Tim Tebow. I'm going to put us at 3 minutes, and I'm going to put you down by 3 and say, let's go make a movie.
Here's the kick, and that's Cosby. He'll take a knee. We welcome most of the country to Minneapolis. Christian Ponder has set a Minnesota Vikings rookie franchise record with 381 passing yards despite an injured hip in the first half. He's thrown 3 touchdowns. Minnesota has just taken a lead on a 39-yard field goal, but here is Tim Tebow, who has brought his team back 3 times for come-from-behind wins this season. Tebow looking around and just throws it away. Of course, Denver beginning play, having won 5 of the 6 Tebow starts since he took over Week 7 in Miami. To get 1 game above the 500 mark, but Oakland is getting demolished in Miami. That game late in the 4th quarter, and Denver needing a rally to move into a first-place tie, but they're down 3. Crossing pattern, and that's Willis, and that's a first down. Clock stops with 2:51 to play. They spot it at the 32-yard line. Tebow is hit on 9 of 13, 162 yards, 2 touchdowns, has not thrown an interception, and McGahee slow to get off the field.
They just leveled an excellent block there to open up to the receiver. This is where the Minnesota Viking front 4 and 5 and 6 that bring pressure have to be incredibly disciplined and patient in keeping Tebow in the pocket.
Tebow lofts it to Thomas, who makes the catch inside the 30-yard line.
This time it's Brandon Burton. We see Cedric Griffin do this twice. Burton now, he looks like he thinks he's getting help over the top. That's 3 big plays we've seen the Minnesota Viking offense give up, where an underneath corner looks like he's letting a receiver go for outside deep help, and it's just not there.
Clock stops with 2:43 to play. And now they'll put it into the hands of McGahee. And he's inside the 25 to the 23. Remember now, not only Denver starting this drive with a full complement of timeouts, Minnesota now on defense with a full complement of timeouts. Are you a little surprised Minnesota's not taking a timeout right here?
Well, they may be very well holding up their timeout because they're thinking, you know what, we may need this later on. I'm not sure they don't need it to regroup here.
Well, they don't have to run another play until the 2-minute warning, and they're not going to do it. There's a good 28 seconds lost in all of that. And John Elway, the master of so many come-from-behind wins during his Hall of Fame career, is hoping that Tim Tebow can deliver a 4th in 7 starts this year. America's game of the week, the Packers and the Giants. Aaron Rodgers v. Eli Manning. First things first. Denver with a football at the Minnesota 24, trailing by 3 at the 2-minute mark. McGahee dropped for a big loss. Good play by Benny Sapp. Boy, and of course, losing yards here makes perhaps that game-tying field goal try that much longer.
And it makes the next call for Tim Tebow on a 3rd and long all that much more critical.
And Chad Greenway is the injured Viking. We take an injury timeout. Matt Prater preparing perhaps for a game-tying field goal. You see what he's done in the 4th quarter and overtime, including the game winner in overtime at San Diego. But first things first, 3rd down and 10.
A lot of bodies up in the line. They're not going to let Tim Tebow. He's checking. Now they're checking.
Play clock down to 3. They get it off. Blitz coming. Tebow gets it away. And it is in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Thomas. It looked like he had it in his hands, and then Griffin knocked it out of there.
Well thrown ball under duress. Look at this. They are bringing the house. They're going to make Tim Tebow beat him throwing the ball. A lot of purple shirts free, just not able to pull it in. That's as well thrown ball under that circumstances you're going to see thrown.
So here we are with 1:38 to go. This will be a 46-yard field goal try. Plenty of leg for Prater. Pressure kick. And it is good. So again, Denver, on what might be its final drive, is able to convert the drive into points. Now, whether that will be good enough to send it into overtime, Christian Ponder will have a lot to say about that.
Three parts: snap, hold, and kick. All got to be perfect. They were. I love this. I tell you what, for these two young quarterbacks, and I know I'm looking beyond right now the relevance of Denver and what it means in the AFC West, but I love what I'm seeing in these two young quarterbacks. They are learning so much right now in really the only place you can, on the game field. Love what they're going through right now. Tim Tebow making that throw in the face of that kind of pressure in the way that he did. That was a heck of a play.
Well, Percy Harvin is dropping back. You may remember he went to his coach last week when they needed a big one and said, let me take this kick. And he brought it back 104 yards, which was the longest kickoff return in NFL history that was not a touchdown.
And did not turn into a touchdown, which was so key because Minnesota had 4 tries, came up a little short. We talked about the challenge that should have been there. Great example for a team, never give up. Neither one of these teams are here. Believe me, they're aware that's Percy Harvin down there standing in the end zone as well. They being the Denver Broncos.
Waiter puts a foot on it. And boy, he picked a time to hammer it. And Harvin takes a knee. Well, for those of you in the home markets of our late games, New York, Green Bay, St. Louis, San Francisco, Dallas, and Phoenix will be switching you and leaving this game in just a moment and getting you to the start of your game in the home markets.
Let's see what the Vikings want to do. Christian Ponder got 2 timeouts. You got 1:33. Are you going to just chip away here, or are you going to go for this?
What are you talking about learning on the job, Brian?
Absolutely.
I mean,
this is the only way.
Yeah, you got to go.
Are we going to see a draw here? Are we going to see a check down?
Yep.
Oh, boy. That's not the kind of learning on the job you want. Andre Goodman, who has been picked on all day today, had one fall right into his lap. And the Broncos now with a chance to move into a tie atop the AFC West.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is. He thought he was going to stay on an underneath route, had a typical sit and corner route. Goodman read it beautifully, baited him, then fell off into the corner route in behind it. That's just a young man and a young man's mistake. John Elway knows. He's been there before. He knows what it is, a rookie. Right now, he's on the other side of the recipient of it. Total team effort here. Solid defense. Offense taking you down, scoring position.
That's Lance Paul. McGahee limped off after that failed third down throw to the end zone on the last possession. Timeout by Minnesota. So 1 left. Of course, it all began week 7 when Tebow took over for Kyle Orton as a starter, down 15-0 in the fourth. A touchdown to Fells. 2-point conversion to tie the game. They won it on a field goal in overtime. Moved to week 11 against the Jets. Less than a minute They go 95 yards, capped off by a Tebow touchdown. And then in San Diego, found Eric Decker 39 yards on a third down with 4 minutes left, set up a game-tying field goal. They won it in overtime. And now after the interception thrown by Ponder, Tebow, who brought his team back for a game-tying field goal just a moment ago, has a chance to put this baby on ice. It's inside the 5 on the carry by Ball. And the Vikings spend their final timeout. So with everybody talking about the efficiency or maybe lack thereof, Brian, that's a pretty good looking statistical number.
Those are Ben Roethlisberger type numbers. And by that I mean no one does more with fewer throws than Ben Roethlisberger. You see it all the time. A lot of yardage, 20, 25 throws. This is just the kind of game that Tim Tebow needed. Didn't do a lot in the running game. Obviously, Minnesota knew they were going to stop that. This is the kind of game they needed to see Tim Tebow put together once again on the road. They're going to run the ball here. They're going to let the clock run down. Use this as many times as they can, get themselves in position, kick the field goal, win the game, go home.
Minnesota out of timeouts. Ball stopped at the 2. Denver, if it can add a win and make it 7-5, will be in a tie with Oakland. Oakland went on the road and just got blown up in Miami.
And this is one they had to have, Tom, obviously on the road, but against a team that's 2-9. They've got Chicago and New England coming up, both at home. That's a positive. But they told us this is a game that's going to test us, because this, quite frankly, is a game we should win.
Play clock running all the way down to 2 seconds. 1 second to get her off. And ball is stopped at the 2-yard line. It's third down. And the clock down 18-17. You figure Denver spends a timeout. Do you go ahead and just kick it on third down? Well, you always want to leave yourself a little bit of wiggle room in case something should go wrong with a snap on third down.
And here's the thinking. We'll see if they do this, but with 13 seconds, it's third down. There are those that say, okay, kick it now. I realize you're going to have to kick the ball off. That's the downside. You'd like to take it down to 3 or 4, kick the field goal, go home. Or, you know what? Let's cover our bets. Let's try the field goal on third down. If it's a muff snap, something's bad, we fall on it. We get to try to kick it again. Now, I don't know if that's what their intention is here. If it's not, I'm not quite sure why they called the timeout now. The only other option for them right now is they're going to either hand it off or Tim Tebow's going to shuffle to the left, put the ball dead center. They've got the timeout. Now bring it down to 4 seconds and call the timeout. That's apparently what they're going to do.
That's exactly what they do. Tebow just dives to the left to put it right smack dab in the middle. And the timeout will be called right now.
Actually, he went a little too far. All he did was put it on the other hash. If he was supposed to center it up, he failed miserably. Let's rip him for that, okay? You didn't lay down quick enough.
And on that play, their left tackle, who's been a mainstay playing in his 59th consecutive game at that position, Ryan Clady, is injured on the field. While they're looking at Clady, we're a very short field goal away from being a tie atop the AFC West, and you see what the teams have left. Denver has 3 of 4 at home. You know that Jay Cutler is not there for Chicago. Matt Forte was injured in the game today. Don't know whether he'll be ready next week. Oakland, 2 at home, 2 on the road. They go to Green Bay next week.
Well, we're going to find out about both of these teams in the next couple weeks. I'll say it again, the thing that impresses me, Tom, these comebacks, we showed it earlier, these are on the road. Winning on the road in the NFL, to me, is the toughest thing in professional sports. For them to do it on the road, I think, is significant.
Well, I mentioned the man standing on the sideline, Executive Vice President of football operations, John Elway, The last time the Denver Broncos won 5 straight road games, he was their quarterback. 1998. And Tebow trying to make it 5 straight road wins for Denver. They're going to spot it. The hold, that is, at the 13, 23-yard field goal try to win it for a second consecutive week by Matt Prater. Britton Colquitt the hold. And the kick is good. And the Denver Broncos tie it on the second to last possession, win it on their final possession